Hi guys, this is Tarquin coming back with another episode of A Clash of Kings. We're on day 1292 and Ashford is once again under siege. The battle's already started. We didn't actually want to sit in Ashford and defend it because we didn't want them to run away. We're going to go ahead and charge in, and apparently a ton of farmers are wanting to go. Now, we're also going to talk to Sir Giannis and tell them to marshal our forces. And so people should be showing up here after a little while, and after we take Ashford, we're going to see about the rest of the map, which is basically, at this point, now that Red Lake's been taken by the Targs, but the West ones and them will fight over it. It's just up to Highgarden and Old Town, and we're going to march on Old Town because Highgarden is much less valuable, although it is an amazing castle. Old Town is one of the richest cities in the world, and that is where we're going to go after we defend Ashford, if everything goes according to plan. And we see that they just have 1,300 men here, and we're going to have a whole lot of them, so it's actually not going to be so bad at all. Yes, 913 against 1,317, so we're just going to go ahead, and we have Heartsbane now that we're actually using it ourselves, that we took from Lord Tarley. We'll look at its stats after this, but it is very awesome, has a great reach, pretty fast, and of course is a one-handed, two-handed sword. So one of the only bastard swords in the game, and I figured that since I could use that properly, that is what I should do. And then I haven't figured out who I should give my other sword to, but I need to find someone to reward. And unfortunately, forgetting the lessons of the last map and not going towards where my enemies are going to be, and that's very bad because I am relying on everybody else on my side to do the right thing and win. And we have a ton of archers in here, and that is just really bad. But apparently our men in the tower are still able to get the range on this, so maybe this huge amount of archers is still going to be able to hold. And there are so many men coming in. Can I get down from here? I'm going to have to... There we go. And we're going to just go ahead and... Wow, that's where all the rest of our archers are. Totally ridiculous. But what we're going to do is try to make our way to the other tower to support them, because soon enough they're going to be on the wall, and I'm going to wish that I had a crossbow. But all of those crossbowmen that we have there on the wall, they're not going to be able to hold in that breach long unless I can help them. So hopefully we're going to be able to come and heroically do something there. But we still see that the long walls of Ashford are very powerful, and they're already down to a lot of glavemen, of course, and if they don't have shields, then they're not going to last forever. And now we have finally gotten into the fight, and we probably didn't even need to go around. We just needed to wait for people to die, but I was impatient. And there we go, getting a lot of kills. And Heartsbane is a very awesome sword, and that still won't make any excuse for me losing to that knight, if I do, but I don't think that's going to be the case. And there we go, Gurner Pike and I now holding the top with each other, and he'll just sit on one side and I'll be on the other one, and I actually now I need to go ahead and grab out my shield, and we're going to go to Orphan Maker for this, since it doesn't make sense to be using the bastard sword with the shield in this context. And Gurner Pike, unfortunately, I think has been knocked out, and able to kill most of these men coming in. But oh no, there we go, taking out another knight, and that is a Old Town knight coming at me now, but my shield is still in fine enough form, and now I'm going to be able to take him out too. And now their men are outside my walls, and that means that it is fair to retreat if I can get to a position far enough away from them, which is what I'm going to try to do. But actually, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to continue this battle and let my men try to have this win. And okay, they're going to be going up the other tower on this run. Hopefully I won't get shot by a crossbow. That seems to be what would kill me, and actually Well, of course, bugger me with a bloody spear. Getting shot by a crossbow as their men are trying to storm the walls. We're going to allow a few more of our men to get some kills, and then before the bulk of their reinforcements come in, we're going to go ahead and retreat, regroup, and hopefully the siege will continue, but we've pushed them back at least, and that's not totally ideal. Heartsbane, we are down to 5,000 coins because it cost 35,000, and we released Lord Tarley, and we used the cheat menu to drastically reduce his relation with us. So he hates us now a whole lot. We have, after all, taken his town and his ancestral sword, but apparently they might be trying to continue the siege, but no, they are going to break. And I need to chase some of them down, and my bannermen are going to be coming in from the Riverlands and a large part of them from the Iron Islands, so they have a little bit of a trek to make, but the Ironborn are experienced in raiding the Reach, and so it should come fairly naturally to them. And what we're going to do is go ahead and... do we have enough cavalry with us? 27 cavalry will have to be enough, and we are going to try to push off a couple of their men, but unfortunately they're all riding off together, and that's so many hundreds of men to run out on the battlefield. I don't even want to think about it, because there would still be 700 or so, and with hundreds and hundreds of cavalry, just miserable. But I think if I can maybe... I am surprised that they're not turning to try to attack me, but Ashford, of course, is clearly no longer under siege, and ACOK is coming along with me, and what we're going to do is just be making our way... maybe he's just traveling to Cider Hall, but I'm waiting for some bannermen to show up, but apparently Otten Blacktide, who of course holds the castle of Uplands, getting taken prisoner, and what I think I'm going to do is move up to Old Oak, maybe, but maybe the better thing to do is just to hang out on this side of the river and wait here. If any of their men... okay, 52 units of food, 2 days left, that's no good. Gonna have to go ahead and access the item pool, where I know that I have a lot of bread, because that is something that you always do. Just build a mill somewhere and make sure to give it to your companions. You will thank yourself for it in time. And we're just going to wait here for a bit to see if our bannermen will show up. But we could take Bitterbridge first, which would make sense. It's Old Town that I want, though. Maybe we'll hang out outside of Bitterbridge. That's hopefully easier for people to reach anyway. I don't know. I do want to be able to... never mind, they are sieging Ashford once more, and don't really have a lot of experience calling my bannermen, and the map is large after all, but apparently a very large force of the Reach is here to siege Ashford again, so we are going to just come here again and wait. And it would actually be wonderful if they continue this siege, because all of our bannermen will be in the field around us, I hope. All of our few bannermen, but alright. This is 896 against 1364, and what we want is to do as much damage to them as we possibly can in one round, and that means Sir Felton Ironbreakers... never mind. It is one of those things where I have to go ahead and get Queen Loston knocked out to get anything done properly, but it's not what we're going to do. Instead, this is extremely bothersome. Apparently, no time to do anything but just join the battle, and then after something happens, then I will be able to choose someone that I want more. But Queen Lawston, because she is a crazy person, is choosing to come out here in front of their army with Heartsbane and fight them all in single combat. Or, in this case, huge amounts of people combat. And there's Sir William Withers taken out, and we are struck by a crossbow, a coward's weapon, and now getting more surrounded. Oh no, can we take out another lord or a knight? And killing another knight, killing a couple important people, and now going off, and apparently that is enough to force them to retreat. That's really annoying. That's really, really, really annoying. Apparently it's going to force me to use Queen Lawston in sieges from now on, and she's not really who I want to defend in sieges, but I guess we are going to have to just deal with that, and most of our bannermen are going to show up. That's Lord Caron out there. So we were reading The Life of Aegon the Conqueror, some good coming out of waiting, and there was a bit of a defense and then a lot of waiting, and now we are going to have more defense. And we see actually a lot of our bannermen running around out here. So when the Reach Lords try to go, there we are. They are breaking the siege of Ashford, and we are going to have to chase them down. Or at least distract some of them. Now, these guys might be pretty stupid because these guys are going to be much more limited, and now we are going to catch... I say catch them out. It's going to be 260 against 453, and this is not going to be a blast for me, but hopefully things will go well. The Reach will still have a lot of squires because I retreated so quickly from those battles, but this battlefield is about as good as what we could hope for. And all we're going to do is have all of our cavalry, lead them on a merry chase, hope that they don't charge immediately, but they should try to flee, and we're going to just need to get our cavalry into a position to sort of cause some problems and basically get our faces lanced. And that is the problem with the Reach, is that they have 1 billion men, and they're all kind of squishy. But what we're going to do is take all of our cavalry. Now that their cavalry is in motion, we want to distract as many of them as we can with our mini here of knights, and if we can get even half of them to turn away and try to charge at us, and there we go. Actually, great success, and we're going to continue running across, and we actually persuaded all of their knights that well, I wouldn't say persuaded, but the only knights that are still alive are the ones that didn't charge our archers. Our archers were able to deal with all the others, and we probably have a couple of unhorsed people, but I think actually we've been able to avoid that too, and that is fantastic. We're going to be able to just drag our forces in, and our knights are going to be fighting with their knights as we're running across this battlefield, and we're just going to go ahead and make our way back up the hill and tell the cavalry to hold right there so that I can finally get into this battle. And what I'm going to do is just, take a big shot to the horse's head there. Crossbows, of course, do serious damage, as that 38 damage headshot proved. Lots of times my characters don't take damage from things for a while, and it gives the illusion that the difficulty of this is not high. In fact, you really have to be avoidant and to really be careful about the situations that you get in and know the weapon types that you're going up against, that sort of thing. But what we're seeing now is finally their horsemen making their way in to our archery line, which is of course a terrible place for them to be because half of them are companions. But what we're going to do is have the cavalry come to follow us now, and just going to have everyone charge because I am sure that my infantry is not in great shape anymore. But what we're hoping is that those lords there and other named knights of the various armies are going to be able to get taken out there, and I'm very afraid of their war lances, and hopefully going to be able to take this guy out. There we go. Lord Vortimer Crane knocked out by me, and now more of their knights coming across the battlefield, and this is very bad for us because, well, they have lances, and I have nothing to stand in the way of getting my men lanced. All I can hope is that we won't lose too many men to the couch lance attacks, and that it'll be horses instead, and now I'm going to be able to come around here on the side and try to do some help with that, and there we go, working out perfectly, and now things are going to be fine. We're going to be able to tear through the rest of the 500, or is it just 400 more men that there are to kill? I think it's just 400 more men, and of course a lot of problems on this map, not least of which the fact that there are squires running around who have lances and chainmail armor and coursers. Why? Because I thought the Reach needed a big buff, and now I'm fighting them. Every faction I've fought so far, of course, has been buffed very much, and really the only one I didn't buff a ton is the Westerlands, because it was already the strongest, and I'm almost looking forward to my war with them. And killing his horse, that will have to be enough because, oh man, thought for sure I was going to take a lance there. And these Glavemen being able to knock out most of my companions pretty easy once they're on the ground, I'm sure, and surrounded. But that's why it's so important that our horse is half alive, and we have to take out their crossbowmen, because otherwise we'd be looking into a serious attrition. And oh man, coming in too close for comfort there, and pretty seriously misjudging the distance on that strike, and now my horse is getting more hurt, and I might actually need to bail here without actually coming to a nice resolution of what was going on before. And we're going to go ahead and get off of this horse. Hopefully he'll survive for later on. We're going to go ahead and go into straight up two-hander mode for these Glavemen, and hope to be able to do what has to be done to break this impasse and hopefully leave a few of our men still on horseback for later on. And is that a repop? Because that is a lot of men, but Heartsbane is a very long sword, about as long as a polearm. I think 152 is the length, so it's about as long as the spear that I use. Going to take some getting used to, but it is an incredible weapon, and I might actually forego the spear entirely in the long run and maybe get another shield. You can never go wrong with another shield. Of course, with Celise Lawson, I've sort of given up on the idea of her ever being a great crossbowman, just because it doesn't do enough damage for me to justify 2 weapon slots. And oh man, a lot of people with me on their minds, and now we're going to go ahead and whistle for Silver, and he is going to come over to us. And there we go, catching him on the run, because our character is a professional, and now going to be able to put a hurt on a lot of crossbowmen. And hopefully we're going to run into a lot of crossbowmen all at one time, because this army would have had 200 or so. So they're going to be spawning probably no infantry, and then a lot of these lower troops that are fine as support, but not at all on their own. And then we'll be down to the levies and so on. But we only have 3 men still on horseback, so our ability to deal with their archers is going to pretty sharply diminish because of how fast their movement speed will be. And so it's important that our horse stay alive now. We see all of those men running away in that huge grouping are crossbowmen. The rest there appear to be levies, so the fight will be won. The only thing is whether or not we will suffer a lot of losses to crossbows, and that's why we have to be on our best behavior right now. And just trying to run down some guys and slow them up for our other friends. And a nice double kill there, and coming down but not slain there, and apparently, there we go. That is going to be that. And we will have Barangar Perrin improbably still upon his warhorse, and I'm just still trying to kill this guy. He's probably still on his horse because he's been throwing rocks at people the whole damn time. And is there one in his hand right now? Yep, good old Barangar Perrin, the bravest of us all. And 17 renown from that battle, pretty large. And we lose some sellsword crossbowmen that were kind of expensive and not as good as longbowmen in my opinion, so I wasn't that sad to be losing them, but taking out 450 of those men, and many of them escaping, but not Vortimer Crane, who will be taken prisoner, and John Fossaway as well, and Armin Oakart. And we free them, and now apparently getting some free reputation with the Lannister, Sir Kevin Lannister, that fights for us due to freeing his relative, even though it's for a different faction, so that's pretty nice. And taking a ton of prisoners and going to drop them off. Wait, took the wrong kind, took the levies when I meant to take crossbowmen. Always want to take the highest dollar prisoners, of course, and leaving those retainers at veteran status on purpose, and actually a lot of very valuable loot there. Getting a destrier, a masterwork arming sword, that won't auto sell, and some glaives. Just, well, it actually didn't cost me that much, and we got many lords out of it. I don't have time to run them home to King's Landing right now, but they have still less of a chance of escaping if they are within. Or did I let them go? I meant to take them prisoner, I hit the wrong button the whole time. That sounds exactly like something I would do, because I was still pretty happy about not losing too many men in the battle. And looks like we're going to go ahead and grab a bunch of Lost in Knights and Squires, because we definitely need cavalry to deal with these foes, and hope that our men are going to catch up with us, because we have some enemies in the field here. And here's Sorin Shieldbreaker, and we are going to be able to totally obliterate this guy. But I think I saw a couple of my bannermen off in the distance, and they should be meeting up with me shortly, and then we are going to have a very large force and see what we will do about Old Town. And a ton of my cavalry caught up on the rest of my men. Not what I want to see, but these are just wildlings, I suppose, so we should just tell everyone to charge. There's only 50 of them, and they're wildlings. And hitting some combination of keys on my keyboard and messing myself up in the program for a second, but okay, taking 14 damage there. Not sure from what angle, but probably the last damage we'll take here. We're seeing even spearmen run away here, or maybe the wildling archers have light spears, which is actually quite nice if they had good stats and armor otherwise, but of course they do not. A free folk playthrough would be really cool. You could very quickly activate them as a faction and swear yourself as a vassal and just create whatever story, and then just sort of make your way through plunder. Sort of an alternative Ironborn thing, but you'd just be one of the free folk with the worst armies on your side and not access to any towns unless you helped your side take them and hold them. It actually sounds like it would be a lot of fun. If only I had infinite time. Instead, I spend some of my time working and some of it playing video games, and sometimes I heat food up in the microwave. But we win, not gloriously, but quite simply, and that's just fine with me. Any successful battle is a nice jump in people's health, and now we're just going to, here we go, we see a lot of my men. Who's that moving at 7.4 and 8.2? That's because they are my trusted men, and that means they have pathfinding, and Mace Tyrell going to be caught out in the field here, and all of us going to catch him out, and apparently a lot of the other enemies of ours here as well. So we are going to pick a fight with poor Mace Tyrell, who only has 139 men. But we only have brought 15 men to this battlefield. There should be some Marcher Longbowmen here among our companions, and there's actually a lot of Lost in Shields you'll see those are the shields of the Golden Company, and oh no, they are charging all the way, aren't they? I need to go ahead and try to get some of them to turn. I did not realize that they were that desperate, and unfortunately, taking 4 casualties in that early attack. Wasn't expecting them to be that aggressive, but they were quite outnumbered, and fortunately able to make most of their knights follow me on this ridiculous attack across the map, and everything's going to be fine now. I mean, it was always going to be fine, but I was afraid that our men were going to take a lot of casualties. As it is, we have the Golden Company from my relative John Lawston, who holds many castles, and I will one day give Dragonstone to, I think, probably at the end of this campaign, whenever I divest myself of other things and grab up Old Town. At least I'm thinking that is where I want to go with my next possessions. Haven't totally decided, of course, but what I wouldn't do for a longer sword, I know I have one, but the time to take it out, just not worth it, and now I just need to get away from those Glavemen. You don't want to engage them if you can avoid it. Leave that to your allies to make mistakes with, not you, and able to get actually a whole lot of damage on them, but 18 damage, and that is of course from an arming sword strike from an elite reach crossbowman. No jokes, those guys. And Barangar Perrin can't decide if he wants to cast the first stone or bash someone over the head with a club, and as a result ends up getting nowhere, and oh man, actually accidentally running down several Glavemen and then doing it on purpose afterwards. I figured he wasn't looking at me. Perfect candidate for getting a sword upside the head, and now this is probably going to get my horse kind of hurt or killed, but hey, I have the ability to heal a new one, and now just going to get a couple more kills, and this is going to be the last of Mace Tyrell's men, and I knew they would be pointed at me, so we didn't charge right in, and now these poor sods dead just the same as everyone else that fights for the reach. Hopefully I will get some good reach lords. Of course, the high towers figure prominently in. I would never give them Old Town because I want Old Town, but I would happily give them Tumbleton or something like that, as well as some of the other interior castles. And, of course, there's always the conquest of the Westerlands and Dorne. At my castle right now, there's still a lot of lords just hanging out and waiting for me to try to give them a job, but most of them are actually kind of bad people, and I know they'll just leave me. So what I was going to do is wait to accept them and then start a campaign before I made them angry by being a totally rational person and making normal decisions. And then they left, but I didn't have the time to do that. But what we see right now is Ricalio Jahar has come, and Bryce Carone and John Lawston as well. And what we're going to do is run down Loras, and Baelor Hightower still has 25 Old Town Knights. So actually this is still a huge amount of the strength of the reach in the field, and we're actually going to be able to luck out a little bit here and fight only 278. And I say luck out because, well, it could have been much worse. There were another 300 high towers, and oh man, we are going to have a fun time here. What we're going to do is, of course, what we always do on a map like this, and just hope that they don't charge too soon. We'll deal with it if they do, of course, but this map is a archer's paradise. Unfortunately, it's nighttime, but we have Bryce Carone with us, which means a ton of Marcher longbowmen, and fortunately, we haven't killed anyone yet. Now, what I'm going to do now is go ahead and get in the middle of the field in preparation for them becoming upset with me, but apparently all of our men not even trying to shoot at that distance. There we go. Still trying to figure out the keyboard commands properly, and hopefully that'll start opening up more archers. I think the infantry was blocking them with the shield wall, and nope, maybe we just don't have any quality archers here, and that is very sad, but move the archers up one more and maybe that'll help. Apparently 10 paces is a whole lot of space on the map, and now I'm seeing more arrows fly in the sky, but I'm not seeing any success from it. Guess we will just have to move the archers right here in spite of wanting to get more of a benefit out of this, and instead of getting to do anything fancy, probably just going to have to force them into a battle that's more fair. But maybe most of my allies are not listening to me, but it appears that many of them are, and the only thing I think now to do is a charge. And why am I doing this? Because it's stupid. Because we're close enough to where it won't matter, and I think that they won't even be turned in the right direction, and that's right, we caught them totally unawares. They were not expecting us to just charge across the battlefield, and how's that for tactics? Mount gets crippled, taking Heartsbane out and dropping the shield immediately, and what I need to do is look for men on horseback and try to take them out. And I actually think Heartsbane might be a little too long to use properly in close quarters and might just totally be suited to a sort of one-on-one dueling scenario, and not very much to these closer fights where shorter reach is preferred, and I think definitely that is the case. That's why it's good to have one weapon of each, but your friends will always misuse them. And now I have a crippled Dothraki Cataphract. It will heal, but oops, not meaning to try to hurt my friend, and trying to grab on that horse, and here we go, here boy, and we get a mostly French destrier, so going to be able to get back up in the saddle once more, take out some sergeants, try to run around and get kills on the knights that we're still seeing, and of course then try to get away from those elite glavemen that we made kind of ridiculously awesome. And oh no, right on top of a repop, but fortunately going to be on the right side of it, and now going to continue running down these various crossbowmen just the same as my other knights are, and just having 4 people on horseback that are my friends should make it enough to clean up this battle pretty easy, and then we'll be fighting the rest of the Might of the Reach soon, but hopefully going up and being able to siege Old Town. And we have taken losses in these fights, but they're not massive losses yet, and hopefully won't be enough to make my men want to go home or need to rest for too long. And I wish Call was here. I wish Cyril Lanaqua was here. They both have some pretty nice armies. I'm also missing Lord Casper Wilde. He has a good Stormlander army as well, but we're going to have to make do with what we have, and hopefully more will show up, of course, as we've said, before we go ahead and come to the end of it. And a lot of casualties for our enemies, a ton of wounded men. Hopefully that will allow our allies to sell them off. I'm not sure how that works for the prosperity of your friends, but they can definitely carry prisoners if you give them the points in prisoner management. And I was trying to run him down, but that Stormland Sergeant taking a mace right upside his head and winning the battle for us, and a lot of allied casualties because of, well, just their general squishiness, but 270 killed, and we take Brian Fossaway captive. And that's at least a few, and we're just going to quickly try to collect prisoners and get out of here. a lot of money in prisoners that we're not being able to take advantage of just for brevity's sake. But we are going to be able to make a lot of money, and now we just have to chase down some high towers, although they might be so discouraged that I'm not sure what they think they're going to do. But in any case, I am going to go ahead and make my way to the north. And here's Otten Blacktide, fresh from defeat, but now we have some Ironborn along with us too. And if Cocklespint is being raided, it is because, alright, apparently he got away with the raid, but this ridiculous fellow is not going to get away from us. He's not that fast, and it's not going to waste that much time. And, okay, apparently he was humiliated the last time that we let him go. Well, that's not going to happen again. We are taking prisoners against the Reach. And we are just going to charge, and it is just going to be fine. That's what I'm going to tell myself anyway. Or really, I should probably tell everyone to follow me a little bit so that all those other horsemen are not clogged up. And then everybody will charge and it will be fine. And lo and behold, looks like I'm not going to become upset at myself here, and we're just going to charge across the battlefield. It is going to be extremely impressive. My horse is lame, and I forgot to change it, and so I need to be especially careful to not get the poor bastard killed. I cannot replace him. And taking a big 20 damage crossbow shot. But acquitting myself pretty well there when it came to running down fleeing enemies, which is of course a very good skill to have. One of the best. Just running around, making a lot of poor bastards die for their country. And of course these are mostly sellsword troops. And, well, they're not dying for anyone's country anymore. They're just dying because they work for the wrong guy, and this man was once a respectable Lord of Mir, and now he is just another victim. And actually I should probably talk to the lords a little bit and just see what's up, and maybe... Okay, he's just like, hey, that was a good fight, so I guess I don't really need to worry about making my lords like me more. And Otten Blacktide has at least a very solid number of archery, of infantry, and we are going to move up towards Highgarden and think about sieging it. But never mind, they are all healing up there. What we're going to do then is make our way to Old Town and try to take it while they are on the mend. And Sir Martin Mullendore is just going to be our next victim here. So basically what is going to happen is we're going to run up and wait for no more than half a day to try to siege Old Town. And if more of our vassals show up, perfect. If they don't, then I'm just going to go ahead and charge, because all of their vassals that I just defeated are in Highgarden. When they come out, they're still going to have these huge cavalry-heavy armies that have been causing me a lot of trouble. And what we're going to do now is not have any trouble, because this guy just has mounted sergeants, and I am going to charge across, and hopefully that they will mostly take shots at me and not hit my horse, because once more, using a horse that is crippled, although I know that is not the right thing to do, and gonna take out this man if I can. There we go, there's one hit, and nope, missing on the next, and taking out Martin Mullendore, shot to the face. Knew he was a lord because his helmet was a little bit different than what Reach Knights wear. They go for the more fancy tournament style helms, and a lot of people coming by. How many would it take to kill him? It probably would have been 5 or 6 more, but I did it. And there we go, finishing off this slaughterfest and taking him prisoner. and we lose some prisoners because of prisoner management. And what we're going to do is move up to Brightwater Keep and hope that our loyal lords of the Iron Islands are going to show up sometime soon. But I'm not sure how long it takes to get the message out. But that's about as long as we can wait, and maybe John Lawston and Bryce Carone are the only people that could make it to the fight. And Mathis Rowan trying to run away, we're actually going to let him. Just because with 500 men, I did siege down a little bit of the might of Old Town as of late. But never mind, terrible for us. These lords are able to, they regenerated and now they're running back to Old Town, but we are able to catch many of them out on the field. And, well, I guess that's what we're going to do then, is go ahead and have a nice big fight here and tell them that they will never win. And have another huge field battle. Now, we hold a pretty nice advantage with this, but when you just look at the other side and you see all of that cavalry, that's a nightmare, because you have to kill those horses. But I think that they are not in autopilot mode. If they are, there we go. Those are the men turning around that we wanted to see. And they're not all going to have time to turn around, because our archers are probably going to kill some of them. And when they do, well, everything is going to break loose. And we're just going to take the cavalry along if we don't run into a stump, because we're expecting to kill quite soon as the horses get out of the archers' ways. These are my archers shooting across the field. There are definitely going to be casualties. And what we're going to do is try to hang out here, so when they charge at us, we're going to be able to come down a hill at them. It'll be the opposite way for our foes, and things will be nice. And there we go. There's Finna with the kill to start things out. And they are going to be coming at us, so it is time to tell our cavalry to charge. And I'm still on a fucking crippled horse. Oh man, I'm so stupid. And getting a few kills on our friends immediately, and all we can do now, actually, we need to just tell everybody to open up and hope that that bad tactics at the beginning wasn't going to bite me too hard. I realized too late that I couldn't have my men follow me because my horse is too slow, and we would all get caught out and lanced away from our friends. But we were able happily to get rid of most of their men pretty quickly, and they're probably mostly not heavy knights even, and just knights and squires are a lot easier to deal with than a bunch of heavies on barded destriers. And almost getting my horse totally crippled. What I'm going to do is try to grab this destrier here if he won't run away. There's a ton of horses running around this battlefield, but here we go. A fresh one. This must have been the knight that Finna killed. And now we are going to go ahead and kill the other folks running around here. And there's two squires, and that horse is in my way. Now he is no longer in the way. And I think we have a... No, that was our knight. Mistaking him for an enemy. Pretty bad stuff. And oh no, more cav coming in, but anyone with a war lance definitely needs to be dealt with before they get an auto kill. And just taking out another of our foes, and there's another lance kill, and actually killing a lot of squires, doing extremely well for ourselves here in spite of the very bad tactical setup. And I think now maybe we're finally getting lower in their numbers of cavalry now that we've killed 100 men. And I am going to put myself on crossbowman killing detail now. Oh no, that is not a crossbow. And what I'm going to do is just put all of my cavalry on follow and try to get them away from the glavemen, let my infantry and archers deal with them. They're much better suited to it, and just be able to kill a bunch more of these crossbowmen than I would otherwise be able to. We'll be able to force a couple of respawns pretty soon with all the cavalry here among them. And And there we go. Getting pretty much all of the kills, and I think actually that might be... Okay, yeah, in the space of the time that I was saying our cavalry should come and help me kill those people, we defeated everybody else on the battlefield too. Except this guy, who's trying to get away. Isn't that cute? But we go ahead and take several prisoners. Now we've got a whole lot of Reach Lords actually in our pocket waiting to be sold off. Or to escape if we don't get them somewhere safe soon. And accidentally, well actually that's fine that I left those men to be rescued. They can go into my men's parties and reinforce them, and Sir John Fossaway is on the wrong side of things. Old Town right now has, as you can see, a ton of men within it, but the vast bulk of them are either veteran crossbowmen or veteran glavemen or below. And I think with these extra men that it should be enough. What we're going to do is go ahead and get on this side of the Old Town Bridge in case too many more people show up. And okay, apparently the Reach is marching to do something else, and well, they're thinking about coming to Old Town, or they are coming to Old Town. Maybe we should siege Highgarden instead and keep Old Town for a time when there aren't 7 lords inside. We haven't kept our men on campaign that long after all. Okay, and there's Sword and Shieldbreaker. You might take Bandalon just because it is something that we could take quickly. And 192 men. That will probably be what we do when we come back in our next episode, since this one has gone on for quite some time. Thanks for watching and listening, guys. I shouldn't have left those sieges at Ashford. I thought that they would continue on, as in the past that is what happened, but apparently I'm going to have to get used to being Queen Lostin and not my companions in battles. And when we return, we'll siege Bandalon, and looks like the name of an elven castle. And actually, I should just go to Brightwater Keep right now, which is full of quality men. Not entirely full of quality men, but fairly full of quality men. And we're going to be able to drop off some folks here. I don't know if there's a prisoner tower, but as I said, it is better than nothing. And when we finish the campaign, or at least the temporary finishing of the campaign, we will be able to go ahead and take them to King's Landing, where we keep all of our important prisoners. But as for right now, Brightwater Keep is too strong for them to get away from. We have many prisoners at Ashford as well. And of course we took Tumbleton not so long ago, and looking nice for the Riverlands right now. Although the Reach has tons of lords, and they apparently are pretty loyal considering how few castles they have, all I need to do is take something like Highgarden and then Old Town, and then I would even... Well, I mean, I'm not going to find peace with them. I'm going to siege all their castles because it's free land. But I could entertain the idea that I would, right? Nope. But I'm not sure why more of my men haven't showed up. But there we go. Cokehair finally showing up, and he has Sir Ryman Frey of the Reach as a prisoner himself. And Sarah Lanakwo patrolling around Antlers rather than showing up here to what was to be. And there we go. Auden Blacktide is coming to the fight, so we want to make sure that he doesn't get in a fight during Old Town, and we're going to go ahead and give these men some happiness, and they will, now that we have... Okay, what's going on here? Ohor is accused of witchcraft because she had pox, and we will say that there's a ton of witches and kill anyone that's accused of witchcraft, because that's what Queen Lostin would do. And that's what my character did, and nothing happened. Apparently it wasn't that big of a deal. And now we're just going to wait for our lords to show up, and we're going to siege Bandalon. We're going to just wait for a little while, charge right in, and have a nice victory to sort of solidify our hold on the middle of the Reach. And after that point, it's just between Old Town and Highgarden, and I definitely am going to be taking one of them as well in the next episode, or trying, but that will remain to be seen. As always, thanks for watching and listening, guys. If you have something that you want to see, definitely tell it. Thanks for telling me to call my banners. That definitely helped out whenever I was having to fight a few thousand men on the field with very good armies.